Hi, everybody. It looks like we've got quite a few people joining. Welcome to the webinar 10 Trending Automations in 2024. While we wait for additional people to join, I'm going to go ahead and put a poll on the screen. Here we go. Just launched it. Quick question. Are you currently using a tool to automate your business development efforts? So while you're waiting, if you could go ahead and answer that poll. We'll give everybody another minute to join and we'll go ahead and get started. All right, if you are just joining, again, welcome to the webinar 10 Trending Automations in 2024. There should be a poll question on your screen. Please go ahead and answer that, and we'll give the results here in just a minute. Okay, all right. Thanks for taking the poll, everybody. Thanks for joining. As for the results, it literally looks like a 50-50 split. We've got 46% of people say that they are automating business development efforts, and 54% say no. So again, thanks everybody for completing that poll. And we do have a couple business development automations that Noah is going to share. So we'll go ahead and get started.
Awesome. Well, thanks to everyone for being here. I'll go ahead and share my screen in a second. But I just want to start on a couple of things. First, about me. So Noah Heck, I spent some time in implementation here at Tracker. I work on the product side now, so it's figuring out kind of where we need to go next with the product, how we can most help our customers. So now that we got that out of the way, I want to just talk about a couple topics that came out from the marketing leading up to this series. One of the lines that really struck home with me was that some level of automation is essential. And I think that's a really important statement. And I think that obviously you can make your life a lot easier with some level of automation. So we're going to talk about that, of course. And I want to highlight busy work as well. So, this is a prime opportunity for you to reduce some of your busy work and basically make the best use of your time and spend that time building relationships because that's what you do best. So if we can get you to that point sooner, that's what we need to do. So we're going to do everything we can to help you get there. Just to spend 1 minute talking about AI in general, it's a very broad term. AI and automation get wrapped up into the same conversation very often. If we think about very basic things, that we use AI/automation to do, it's, things like setting your alarm clock in the morning, maybe with your voice or with a schedule, using Google to look up something on the web and giving you an answer. And, I think that where we can bring AI and automation together, that's where we can make it extremely powerful. So we're going to talk about some ways to do that, even look at a feature, that we have, in Tracker. But the way I look at it is that AI can be a complement to automation. So that's where we need to get to, as businesses out there and as a product here at Tracker. So back to the initial comments for a second here. So, automations can seem scary, but consider this. I mean, do you really care why your alarm goes off in the morning? Do you really care how you got that search web result? I mean, at the end of the day, you just want the answer, or you just want whatever it is to happen, right? So that's that's where we need to get to. We need to get to that end goal. So, mention time building relationships. This will be forever a relationship business. And, no matter how much AI is involved or automation is involved. So let's just talk a little bit about bringing those two pieces together. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. This is a development sandbox, but I know that we primarily have Tracker customers on here. So I want to make this session as valuable as possible for you and actually show you some pieces of the product here. So let's first jump into sequences. So if you're not using any sequences yet, definitely something to to work on and to kind of plan out internally. And let's go ahead and start with a new client sequence. So that's a pretty simple one. And if we go into our sequence templates, you could have a template that looked something like this, where we have a new contact who hits our system. We can even enable some automation here. So I've got this turned on with automation. And you can see with our automation here, basically, we're just looking for contacts who get registered to the system and get created in the system. And we're also going to go ahead and take out our contacts that are clients. So those who we're already doing business with, or those that we're doing business with right away, and that's why we're adding them into our system, we can easily remove those individuals from a sequence like this one, because this is really for new business development. So if we take a look at the steps, this is obviously going to be a playbook that you've developed internally that works well and gets you to the point where you do some initial reach outs and then you have an opportunity to engage one-on-one with that new client. So that's the end goal. We can help you get there, and you can start thinking about some playbooks on helping you get there. So this is a very simple example. You can personalize these. You can use a lot of tags, whatever you might want to do in your messaging, totally up to you. But this is a 3-step example here where we're going to send an email right away. Then a week later, we're going to send a second one. And then we're going to go ahead and get a little bit more creative, and assuming everything is in place and you have the okay to text those who are in your system, we're going to include a text here as well. And that's going to just hit things from a different angle and just try one more effort here to get in touch with that new contact. So you can offset these and you can create a nice sequence based on time as well. So that's where we're doing this right out of the gate, waiting a week and then waiting 2 weeks. So very simple automation, again, for business development. And if we think about our hiring managers, another really good one that I like is one like this one right here. So another one where we're enabling some automation. And this time, what we're looking for is a placement status. As you know, that's when someone reaches a certain stage while they're within a job, going to on assignment. And what we're doing is we're sending that hiring manager a survey that would give them an opportunity to rate that employee and just basically give you an idea how they're doing on site. So this has a 2-week offset. And I also want to point out, this is a way to get into automation and make it a little bit less scary, because you've got 2 weeks to stop that sequence for that individual. So we've also got some automation here where we can stop that sequence. Maybe if the person completes the assignment early or they're terminated, they can be automatically removed from the sequence. But this gives you a little bit of time to stop the sequence before the survey would go out. And let's face it, there's been some assignments out there where you maybe didn't want to send a survey, so you still have a good bit of control over this one. So no need to be scared by it. All right, so I'm going to jump over, and we have a lot of topics today. I'm going to do my absolute best to get through all of them. This will be recorded if you ever need to refer back to it. So, keep that in mind as well. So this is called job feed. And this is a way we're going to, stick with business development here. And we're going to, maybe look for a data analyst. And we are going to target Pittsburgh, PA, my old hometown, and maybe look for some jobs that have been posted, in the last week. So what this is going to let us do is scan the web, try to find some open jobs for different companies out there that maybe I don't do business with yet. And we're going to go across a bunch of individual sites as well as job boards to collect these particular jobs. And we're going to have a match score here as well. And we're going to have quick ways to create jobs, leads, or kind of ignore that one. Now, where we can take this one step further and include some automation is if we see a company on here that maybe we don't know, or maybe we just want to do business with and want to stay on tabs with, what we can do is we can come in here to organization, and we can put that organization in. And we can include that as part of our save search. So maybe on this one, we just want to see every day that company would post a job. There's none today, but that's totally fine because I can come up here and I can save this as OSIS jobs. I can share with anybody I like on my team. And once I save it, I'm able to use a watchdog here as well. So what that's going to do is it's going to notify me anytime that company has a job that fits my criteria. And obviously this is a very basic one, but you can get pretty particular with that search. But that's a way to, passively have an idea of what's going on with these companies that you may want to do business with, but not have to jump around on their website every single day, like I know I used to do. So your saved searches would then stay up here as well. And, this example would be jobs posted today by this other company. Here they are. So here's a really quick way for me to get some information into my database and then follow up. All right. So let's move over to the candidate side. And the way I look at the candidate side of things is that we really need to try to support, both our existing workers as well as candidates that we haven't placed yet. So if we look at the existing workers, that was a big opportunity for us when I was in staffing to gain a lot of intel about how things were going on site and just what is going on inside the company, and also gain referrals, that sort of thing. So there's a ton of value you can gain by keeping in regular touch with your employees who are on site on contract working for you. So here again, we could have a sequence where for our existing workers, we can have our, based on a placement, our new placement check-ins. And we can have some automation here as well that would basically look for someone to go on assignment. And we can have some steps in here. Now, you'll notice something a little bit different about this sequence. In this case, we've got tasks that are automatically being created here. So this is another really powerful way to use sequences, because in this case, I really want to talk to my worker, maybe on their break, or maybe, after work every week, every 2 weeks, just to see how they're doing, or at least make an attempt to do that. So what this sequence is going to do is it's actually going to create a reminder on my calendar 3 days after they start work, two weeks in, and then at the end, kind of like we did on the hiring manager side, send a survey. So get some feedback from the candidate as well, and find out what you can, about what's happening on site. So this is a really easy way to do that. Again, you can use automation here. You can get these candidates out to a really nice form. So if I come out here to my active placements, for example, this is a situation where, I could send Taylor. And this is not part of the automation, of course, but this is what the survey could look like, where I'm sending this candidate out to a survey and collecting some information on the assignment. Now, the great thing is all that information that comes back is going to go right into Tracker, and then I'll be able to review it. And in some cases, I'll want to reach out to that candidate and maybe find out more. So that's on the existing worker side. Again, great opportunity to gain a lot of information. You can store that feedback on the placement record as well. So if you have a candidate that's working on, maybe multiple assignments, or maybe one that you put to work in multiple roles, you can store that against the placement. You're not overwriting any data for the candidate. Now I'm going to switch over to the nurturing side. So these would be for your new candidates who are hitting the database. So I have an example of a new candidate sequence here where I'm sending an initial intro, and then I'm sending an email out 5 days later, trying to get that individual to check out our job board or maybe sign up for job alerts. And then I'm also sending a form, a lot like the candidate survey form, just trying to capture some different information out to that candidate to enrich their profile a little bit. So if I jump out to, maybe this candidate right here, I might have some, normal fields like what they're making, what they want to make. But I can also capture some custom information too with these custom fields like ideal job title. Are they currently working? Yes or no? So throughout the process of this sequence, I can use forms to enrich that candidate's profile and also try to get new resumes, which will automatically flow into Tracker as well. So just kind of the rolling through this quickly, here's maybe another follow-up to try to set a screen, maybe sending a calendar link to my calendar to set something up, maybe a text if you have the approvals to do that. And then maybe, a breakup. Hey, we're here to help you out. Sorry if we can't do business right now, but, let's keep in touch. And with this, you could even, maybe change that candidate status in an automated fashion as well to something like, no response, if that made sense, just to help kind of channel and organize your candidates. So this, nurturing these candidates that we have in place, we all know in staffing when we meet that person who we think we can place, we kind of know immediately that we could put that person in a role eventually. So this is an opportunity to just be top of mind, with that candidate, and again, develop a playbook that you think is going to help get you there. All right, so let's go over now to the re-engagement piece. So there's a lot of tools in Tracker that you can use for re-engagement. We have some security tools, and if you aren't using these, I'll kind of jump into these quickly here. This isn't so much on the automation side, but I do want to show you tools like not having a CV on file, and how easy it is to find those candidates in your system, and how easy it is to move those candidates over to a send list. From this section, you can also find your candidates who don't have any activities with you, which can be really important information. And if we jump back into our sequences, we can use those to kick off our sequences as well. So if you want to try to re-engage with every candidate, maybe who is in a certain status, in your system, but you have some pretty loose criteria, like maybe no activities in the last year, in or out, or maybe using a status, changing that candidate over to re-engage, which would be an automated way to get that candidate into this re-engagement sequence. You can do a lot with this, and you can also go the route of sending a form out, trying to get a new resume. Hey, we noticed we haven't connected in like more than a year. So here's a quick form. If you could please, if you could please just upload your resume here. We'll see if there's any fits, or let us know if you're not interested in working with us. That'd be great. That's just going to give you a way to update your system, and make sure that it's as up to date and as powerful as possible. All right, so moving on to a different piece, and that would be using some of these placements that are ending soon. So let's go ahead to placements ending, in the next 30 days. Now, this is a time where I first want to bring up that it may be a good idea to not automate something like this. If you have individuals who are on site that are nearing an end of an assignment, there could be a couple individuals that you've had a rocky assignment with that you may not want to re-engage with, and that's totally fine. This could be an example where automation can help you, but you might want a little more control over who you're reaching out to. So if maybe Taylor and Emil, didn't have the greatest assignment with me, but I want to make sure that I'm engaging with these other folks who are ending up soon to try to find them another assignment. This is where I can have, a template that would be sent out to these folks. This one is very basic, so we're going to rewrite it. But you can use tags to do that. Try to re-engage. Try to find out what they're interested in doing next. So what I'm going to do is we use a little bit of AI here to rewrite this template. So if I jump into my templates, my regular email templates, what we're going to do is we're going to edit this. This is our contract ending soon. We're going to go ahead and take this piece out. And what we will do is use Tracker AI. And by the way, you do have access to putting in a custom request here. So I would definitely try that out. In this case, I'm just asking for a certain type of email, friendly email about an assignment ending soon. I'm going to generate that text. That's going to give me, this info right here. I really only need the middle part because I've already got my tags set up. So here's where I can, apologies. place this in. I can change my font around if I want as well. And quickly save that template. So this is where now, if I am looking at my placements ending soon, which is right here, I can come in, I can pick and choose. We'll take Taylor and Emil off of there as well. And I can reach out to all these candidates and then try to get an idea of what they might want to do next with my new template. So that's another good one too. And just helps you get re-engaged. The other thing you can do on that template as well is you can make some changes here to statuses. So from an automation standpoint, you might want to make a note on their profile or change a status that you've tried to re-engage with them as they're coming up on the end of their assignment. Maybe a status of rolling off, but you're engaging or that sort of thing. All right, so let's assume you've re-engaged with the candidate. Now this is a prime opportunity for you to go in and enrich the data. So we talked about an example above where you can gain a revised resume, and again, Tracker from that form is going to take that resume and it's going to basically unpack it. It's going to make the changes from the resume into their profile. So if they have a new position on there, new skills that you're looking out for, that sort of thing, you're going to be able to capture that by getting the new resume. So I do want to also mention, that's from an automation standpoint, we're going to do that work for you. You can also make those forms available on the portal, which is another way to automate things from your side and just prevent you from having to make any of these manual changes. So if we have our candidate update form and we have our field for maybe resume upload here, this is where by checking this box right here, Tracker, when it gets a new resume, knows to unpack it and update the record. So by checking the box up here for available on portal, any of your candidates who are interacting with the portal can go in and they can do that anytime they want. So sometimes it's helpful to remind candidates that's something that they can do. All right, so let's say that by way of an automation, you get a new resume and things look a little bit messy. Maybe in the summary section that we've got to make look pretty good on these candidates, like this one right here. You can also use Tracker AI to rewrite this profile. This is a feature that I really like. It references the candidate's resume, and then it helps you take that and then rewrite it. You can do a bulleted list, or in this case, a 2 to 5 paragraph write-up. So if I hit use profile, that's going to give me that nice write-up right here. It's also going to give me an opportunity to, enter my own notes right here that I can include as part of that profile. All right, so we've got that saved. Now, one more automation that you really should be taking advantage of, especially if you blind resumes, is our create agency resume. It doesn't take much time at all to go in and build a format. But basically what Tracker is going to do is it's going to pick up on that data that we just generated, even that summary that we just wrote up right here. And it's going to include that on your resume. So we've got our skills down here. We've got education, work history, a couple different flavors of this. But when I go to save as and a PDF, I'm saving it as a PDF right in the record. So that's pretty much ready to submit. And it's going to pull in my new summary as well. So definitely something you want to take advantage of. On the generative side, if we jump into a contact record, also keep in mind if you're on the phone with a with a hiring manager, or maybe you get an email from a hiring manager and you just don't have a lot of information, this is where you can definitely use Tracker AI to help write a job spec. So I would take advantage of that too. If I do a data analyst and I'm looking for Pittsburgh again, and I want SQL and Python, if I could type, I've got 3 different lengths here. So if I generate, kind of a brief one here, I can do a little slightly longer one with full. You can regenerate this as much as you like. But this is a good way to just get a job description in your system very quickly, hit use specification, and then hit OK and edit, and it's going to take you right out to that job. So very easy to go in there and get a job spec if you don't have a particular one for your client, and then another opportunity for you to go in and make your own kind of edits. But from a posting standpoint, you're pretty much ready to post this out to the web as well. So the flow there is very nice, from generating to getting it into the job, and then getting that job online, or maybe out to some interested candidates with the template. Okay, so let's jump into a job that I've been working here. And I want to show you how to bring some internal templates together with some automation. So let's say that, we are on our short list here, and our good friend Chester, accountant, is going to get placed. So let's just say he's over in the offer side here, and we need to send a note back to our internal folks that this placement was made. So this is an opportunity to send sorry about that, send an internal email right here and pick our placement confirmation. And so not only are we bringing in a lot of details from the job and the placement here that our maybe back office team would need to know, but we're also going to include some automation down here. So Andy, we need to make sure Andy sets this person up in whatever system it might be tomorrow. So we're going to have a task on his calendar, just like the tasks that we had for maybe checking in with our new workers. We're going to have a task for Andy that's going to pop up on his calendar. And what's really nice is you can set this, this is me creating it for Andy, but I can basically set that for Andy to do tomorrow. And I can start a sequence for this candidate as well. And I can send out a congratulations email, and then I can, make sure that we're following up with that candidate and getting the tasks on our list to do. So this again is an example where, could you automatically get that person into a sequence when they get placed in the job? Absolutely. Could someone also click and drag and drop that person accidentally into an on assignment stage and kick off that sequence when maybe the person actually got rejected? Yes, that can happen too. So this is an example where you can still use automation, by creating these auto tasks at the end, and enrolling this person in a sequence, but starting it off with a manual process to send this internal placement notification. So just something to keep in mind, that you never want to have that situation where you have to tell a candidate, "We're sorry, you got that email." So this is a good way to have more control. All right. So I know we're pretty close to time here, but I do want to just mention a couple other things. So from the automation standpoint, when we are on the long list, this is just a test, job board that we're working with here. So, we're just kind of looking through some candidates and highlighting some terms that they have. This is where you can set a watchdog while you're within a job. So I can run this for 7 days. As a recruiter, I can have 10 of these running. And I can also tell Tracker to auto parse these candidates for me. So if I send these individuals to the long list, I can also auto match people that come into my database who aren't from this job board. And even more importantly, anybody who hits this watchdog as a brand new candidate that registers for this job board, I can automatically create a template and send that out to the candidate. So the holy grail here is that new candidate enrolls for the job board. We pick it up in the watchdog, you send a template out, and you come in the next morning and you have an email from that candidate, and they're already created in your system. So that's kind of where we want to get you with that one, if you're not using this so far. And lastly, because I'm almost out of time, this is some AI and kind of automation wrapped up into one that you've probably seen, I would guess, online, where, if we go into a candidate record here and, we check out the long list, we've got our resume here, but we have a new tab for compare. So what this is going to do is it's going to take this candidate's resume and it's going to compare it with the job spec. And your output is going to be a list of strengths and weaknesses for this candidate. So we're going to use generative to figure that part out. And we're going to give you some strengths and weaknesses, and you can easily save that over into the profile, which will let you go in and review these at a later date. Should give you a nice strength and weakness list here. But even more powerful, we're going to be able to help you generate targeted questions to ask that candidate. So once we have these questions, what's really cool is I'm going to be able to save this. Again, jump into my activity. And if I'm a recruiter, I'm going to be able to run through these questions. Sorry, wrong one. I am going to be able to run through these questions right here, put my answers in after I talk to the candidate, and save these safely against the candidate record, which is linked to the job, the company, all that good stuff. So great way to use generative to also automate some of these processes of comparing a resume and a job spec, because none of us really want to do that. So I guess that might be it for me in terms of time, Stormy, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Noah. So we do have quite a few questions. So it is 11:31. I want to be cognizant of everybody's time. So if you need to leave, go ahead and leave. But we're going to stay on for a little bit longer and take care of some of these questions that have been asked. 1 second here. So the first question we have is, and we had this asked a lot, how do you get to the job feed search page?
Okay, yeah, great question. So job feed is a license that you can add to Tracker. Only one user, and that's honestly how most companies handle it. Only one user needs the license, and then they can go in and they can set up the safe searches, create the leads and everything like that. But that would be a situation where I would check in with the support team. They can help you get hooked up with job feed and see if it's right for you.
And can you show them where to find it in the tool?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's under the Discover tab whenever you do have a license. So it's right here under Discover and Job Feed Search. And that'll take
Sorry,
you
you're
right
not
to it.
you're not actually sharing anymore.
Oh,
Can you
sorry about
reshare?
that.
I stole it from you for a second.
No worries. All right. So that's actually up in Discover. And that's right here, Job Feed Search. That'll take you right into it.
And is that available in the UK?
That I'd need to check on. I'll make a note of that, Stormy.
Okay. All right. Let's see, what else do we have? So that one was answered. We had a couple about cost of the job feed. So I'm going to go ahead and get those out of here. Can you create alerts if candidates have not been talked to in 6 months so that they can be followed up with?
Yes, you could definitely do that. You could have an automated sequence. The cool thing about the sequences is they don't have to be emails or texts. They can be strictly workflow tasks. So let me see if I have any saved in here. I'm trying to think if I do. Let's see. Well, we had our new placement check-ins. So this would be a case where on our automated tab, we would have in the last 6 months, no inbound, no outbound. So that would be the way that that person would get enrolled in the sequence. And then our step would literally just be a workflow step. So you would come in here and you'd pick workflow, and you don't have to offset it if you don't want to. But then down here, you would configure the actual, reminder. So basically on your calendar, you would get a task to check in with that candidate once they hit that criteria of no inbound or no outbound activity for 6 months.
Awesome. Thanks, Noah. We have, is job board search the same as job feed search?
Okay, great question. Job feed search is looking for jobs that are posted by, we'll say other companies on the web. And let me just go ahead and take these keywords out, which that keyword search is pretty cool too. Let's just see if we can find any in here, posted since last week. So these are going to be jobs that are posted up on the web, from a bunch of different sources. So this is from the business development side, whereas your job board search, which can be kicked off from within a job as well as from the Discover tab, can be your more general search. Like in this case, if I'm just looking for Pittsburgh candidates, that have SQL, this is going to pull like 200 candidates. So it's going to take a second, but that's where they're different. So job board search is for finding candidates. Job feed search is for finding opportunities and more on the business development side.
Cool. And I did just get notification. Job feed search is available in the UK, but as you said, it's like an individual license fee.
Right. Yep. Yeah, and we'll help provide all those details from support. Happy to connect with you on that and answer any questions.
And this recording, this webinar is being recorded and will be sent afterwards within 48 hours. So there's that. Got a few of those questions. Let's see. Any good tips on setting up your playbook initial automations? Best to put together a small working group who can help design automations that would improve the workflow, etc. So I guess any tips on, getting started with automation?
My biggest tip with getting started is to try one or two sequences. The easiest way to start that really is not going to cause, any emails that you don't want going out or anything like that is by doing the kind of workflow task and workflow steps. So, we just looked at the example where we're setting up tasks and reminders to do certain things. Start with that, set some criteria, get those people coming in with automation into the sequence, and then get those tasks created. And that way you can kind of see how things flow downstream. If you're sending emails with it, it's really the same process, but I would pick like one or two sequences. Maybe start with like a nurture candidate sequence, because honestly, if you haven't talked to the candidate in like a year and they're in your database, it's pretty low risk. And if you get those candidates to reply, maybe get a new resume, that can be a really big win. So I would start there. And I think that like less risky would be an alert or a task to do. And, then maybe nurture. And then, kind of at the end is your business development, because obviously there's a little bit more risk if you get an email to go out to some folks that you don't want it to go out to. So do some testing as well. I'm a huge fan of that. I always, create test individuals and databases when I test this stuff out. And I would definitely start with some testing as well, just to make sure everything's, flowing the right way. But when it is, it's magic, because you're just kind of sitting back and people are coming into the sequences on their own. And you're not really having to do much other than, engage, which is the most important part once you make those initial reach outs.
All right, thank you. For the next one, the compare tool, is that an added or extra function, or does it cost extra, or how do they get that added?
Awesome question. We used to work with a credit-based system, kind of like we do with texting. We have since decided not to do that. So you will now see this on your short list and on your long list as a tab here on the quick view. So this is in your system right now. If it's not, let us know, but there's no additional cost to use it. So so run wild.
And all of our AI functionality is included within the product. There's no additional cost for any of it.
That is correct. Yep.
Okay. Job feed search is available in Canada. So we'll go ahead and get that one.
Okay.
And we have somebody who's curious about Ava. Any
Ava.
ideas on launch date for that?
Good question. I don't think we have a particular launch date, because for those of you who don't know, Ava is a assistant. So it's going to be a tracker assistant. It's going to sit right here, and you're going to be able to interact with Ava using your voice or by typing. So what we're really doing right now is we're sitting down and figuring out the use cases for Ava. How is it going to benefit you? And we will be rolling it out. We're just trying to provide the most value that we can when we do. So stay tuned on Ava. I don't have an exact date yet, but we'll keep you posted as we get closer.
Yeah, sometime this summer. No exact date.
Perfect.
Okay. Can you modify a sequence that's already running?
You can stop it and restart it, or put that person into a new sequence, but on our roadmap and already spec'd out, because I spec'd it out, is editing that sequence in flight. So that will be coming to the product soon. I would give that a month or two, and you should see that in the product.
Does Tracker act as an email platform where you can see replies in a full email trail?
You can. The way Tracker works is when you send a message from Tracker that is, just a individual email or kind of group email, it does go through your outbox and you will see it in your sent items. And getting mail back into Tracker can happen several ways. So we do have journaling. You can send all your mail back into Tracker, which would mean you would get any reply that would be part of that chain. And then we also have an Outlook add-in as well that you can hit send to Tracker and it will send that complete chain in as well. So something that we're talking about right now is expanding that kind of to the sequence campaign and automation is the whole chain and getting that back into Tracker. So that's something we're investigating right now. But all the regular email back and forth, normal kind of communications that are outside of the automated ones, you can pull the entire chain back into Tracker. Yep.
I have somebody asking if there's anywhere to find a list of job boards that Tracker can interact with or pull from. Is that
So
something that support can help with?
that is something that support can help with. Yeah. Yeah. So pop on to support. We should have a link to a resource that will give you a list of those job boards. So yeah, I would just use the chat tool in the bottom right in your tool, and we'll help you out with that.
Okay. All right. Let's see. What box is comparing the resume to?
What box is, I'm sorry, what box is comparing the resume to?
What box is comparing the
Oh,
resume to?
okay, gotcha. So hopefully this answers the question. So in compare, we've got the job spec here, and then we've got the resume. So you do need both pieces of the puzzle. And then when you hit evaluate, it is going to basically cross match the details here in the resume and the details with the job spec to produce those strengths and weaknesses. So I'm not sure if that answers the question or not, Stormy. We could definitely take that one offline too, and I could help out via email perhaps.
Okay. Yep. Looks like it did. So that one looks good. Does agency resume also check for spelling and grammar?
Agency resume does not. So a little bit about how agency resume works. If we pop into a candidate record, I can show you quickly. Agency resume is tag based. I got this question yesterday, and it's a really good question because we don't try to take the candidate's original resume, which, in this case would be this Word doc, and try to figure out how to unpack it, reformat it, that sort of thing. When you create your candidates in Tracker, what we do is we populate fields in Tracker, and that is how you're able to create clean resumes, because they're just pulling from these as tags. Now, one thing I do want to point out is if you need to edit the information on the fly, you can do that just by clicking in to the job. And then you're able to, correct any mistakes or anything like that. So if you had Grammarly running or something like that, and you popped into there, you would see if there's any spelling mistakes. But I know exactly what you mean. I've seen plenty of those too.
Can you have one version of agency templates? I think we have multiple templates, correct?
Yeah, you can have as many versions as you want. So, in this case, if I had one that was just, very basic with our tracker logo, I can do that. If I want one, like we looked at earlier that has the summary, I can do that as well. But I can really bring in any tags I like from the candidate record, and you can have as many agency formats as you want. And importantly, we are never touching this original resume when we create those.
Okay. Are there any step-by-step instructions on how to do each of these concepts in the Tracker Academy?
There are some samples in there for sequences. So I would hop onto support. So check with support and ask them for those. Or if you go up here and you search for sequence, let's see which ones we get. Yeah, there's a business development sequence up here, onboarding sequence. So there are a couple examples if you use the question mark up here. So I would check those out. Hopefully it answers your question once you go through those.
And if there's something that you're not seeing, our support team is very, very responsive. So go ahead and just pop in the chat and you will get a live person chatting with you. So they'll be able to help pretty quickly.
Absolutely.
What else do we have? Lots and
Great.
lots of questions.
Yeah, great questions. Appreciate everybody asking.
Can you move candidates from the short list to rejected and have them automatically be sent an email?
Yes, you can. Yep. So the way you would do that is you would have a sequence that would look for a status change. So it would be a lot like the one that we created for maybe the new placement check-ins, where you're looking for a placement status change. And what most clients do with this one is they would say, I want to look out for when the placement status changes to, rejected by client, right? That might have a slightly different message than, rejected by us. So, normally the rejected by client would probably come a little bit later, in the stage, maybe after an interview or something like that. So you might want a little more control over what that sequence looks like. So a lot of clients will create a different one for the different stages of rejection. And that is one in particular that I would offset as well, because you don't want that to happen by accident.
Okay. And how do you create a header for the resume?
Oh, all right. So in your templates, you have agency resume templates here. So if I go into that one that we've looked at a couple times now, this is really what it looks like. And this goes back to how we're building the agency resumes. So, here's our logo at the top, and then we're just using tags for everything else. So we're going up to our tag manager here and just inserting the various pieces of data that we need.
Okay. Is there a way to create a hot list of candidates to send sequence to, for example, a new job notification to a specific group of candidates?
New jobs. So yeah, what you would want to do is you'd want to build that list, so let's say we build it out of active candidates. What you can then do, and actually that's a great question, because from here you can add, these resulting candidates to a send list right here. Now, once you have your send list, what some folks don't realize is you can actually reference that send list here. So testing me a little bit here, but in send list right here, you can actually search for the send list, and then from that group you can kick off a sequence. So that's how you would do it. So you'd filter down to the people in your send list, and then you'd send you'd enroll all those individuals into the sequence, which you can do directly from this list as well. So you can do a sequence for everybody that shows up in your results, or for a page at a time, so 50 at a time.
Okay. And how do you go about setting up a watchdog from the recruiter standpoint?
Yep. Okay, so if we go back to our staff accountant role and we go into our long list, one of the tricky pieces here is we don't do it with our own, you don't do it with your tracker database because you're specifically looking for people that fall into these job board searches. And you don't do it from the individual job board either. You do it from the all job boards tab. So once you run your search, that's where you can employ a watchdog right here.
Okay. Any other new AI or automations tools coming soon?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we're doing. I can't say a whole lot about it, but we'll say that, we're working on some tools for, cleaning data. We're trying to figure out the right way to handle pre-screens at least. So kind of that top of the funnel, just to get you a little bit farther down your funnel. So we're just trying to listen and learn and think about the right way to do those things. But we want to make it, easy with AI to at least get those initial questions answered and at least kind of get your long list of candidates to be a little bit more specific. So those are some things we're looking at right now. Then Ava, of course, we're looking to make that as effective as possible to answer the questions that you have while you're within Tracker and working within it. So, those are two things that we're definitely looking at right now.
And in the chat, I actually put in there, we have an AI page on our website that you can check out. There's kind of a three-step process that we're going with. So the first column are things that we've already implemented. The second column are things that are currently in development. And then the third column are things that, we kind of hope to get done at some point. So go ahead and check that out. It's just tracker-rms.com /AI.
Awesome.
And questions just keep coming in. So we're going to answer just a couple more, and then we're going to finish out the webinar. Let's see. What pre-templated workflows or best practices might be available to help get started without creating everything from scratch? Do we have any of those?
There are some templates that you can look at in Tracker. So, again, automation is a very broad term, right? Now, when you say templates, do you think are we thinking sequence templates, perhaps, Stormy? I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So
They're saying pre-templated workflows.
yeah, the example there is, I don't think there's any that are pre-built in here. We have thought about adding some, but everybody's usage is so unique that it would be pretty hard for us to do that. But, if we just say, I'm going to show you how easy it is here to build one. What we're going to do is we're going to pick the record. So this is going to relate to the different tags, that we would want to use. So if we're going to be putting candidates into the sequence, we're going to pick candidate. If we're going to be putting those candidates into a sequence from the short list of a job, from that Kanban, you're going to want to pick placement. So first determine, who are you going to be adding to the sequence and from where. If we keep it kind of simple and just go candidate, tracker is, let me just pop in here. Okay, sorry about that. Let's see. Okay. So first, it's going to pop up and it's going to tell you, all right, create a step. So it's going to prompt you to say, all right, so this is, we'll just call it step one. This can be an email, a text, or workflow. So if we just keep it email, here's our chance to put an offset, if we'd like, and we can hit save. And that's really how you start building out that sequence. So now you've got a step in here. This is going to be really just like building out a template. So you're going to have the different tags that you'd have available on any of your regular email templates, right here to reference. So this is where I can say, use my first name tag, for example, and then use any other tags that I'd like to throughout the sequence. But once I save that step, I've got step one in there. And then a couple of things to mention here. With automation, you do have to have a sequence owner for automation. So I would definitely pick, either the candidate owner, which is a great one, or, always coming from the same person. Candidate owner, if you're going to candidates, is usually the best option. Make sure you fill that in. And then, think of maybe if you want to trigger this manually, out of the gate, unless it's like a task sequence, right, for reminders, you might just want to start by manually enrolling the people and then watching how things kind of go through the process. But these are certainly, parameters that you can use to kick it off manually if you do want to automate it. So since today we're dealing with automation, we can go simple and say, all right, let's just start this if we, change a candidate status to re-engage. So if we're looking through our system and we see a candidate that has a lot of keywords, a candidate that we place, every single day pretty much, let's go ahead and change that candidate to re-engage, and that's going to automatically get that candidate, into the sequence here. So we'll turn rules on for automation. So we're good there. And then we've got our steps. And as we go through our steps, if we create another step, we can clone, step one, we could maybe offset it just to make it a little bit easier. But really, it's just figuring out what you want that journey to look like, what you want, any kind of offsets and timing between the journeys to look like, and if you want to employ any automation or not. So we'd love to hear your ideas if you have any kind of, basic that you would consider sequence kind of templates. But I just think everyone has such a different way to work that it would be really hard to build something that, lots of clients would use the same exact way, to be honest.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for all of your questions and all of your engagement. We've still got over 50 people on the webinar right now.
Nice. I love it.
So thank you so much. But we are gonna end the webinar. If you have a question that wasn't answered, we'll have somebody reach out to you. But thank you so much, and we will let you know when our next webinar happens. We'll talk to you later. Have a
Thanks,
good one.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.